Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to today's session. We have Mr. Kabote to thank for this meeting because he's the one who has personally requested and set up this seminar so that I talk to you about your research or the impending research that you're about to do. So thank you for having me and thank you for inviting me. If you can allow me to share my... If you could allow me to share my screen.
Oh, okay. All right, let me allow you. Okay, please, I've made you host, so please you can share.
Right. Okay.
Send me the picture. The picture. I'm in class. My lectures has already started. I beg you for it to minimum when I beg you.
Okay.
I'm going back to class. No, the person is working on it. So I have to send the person, not the flyer.
Please mute your microphones so that we are not interrupted.
All right. So because of disturbances that may come in the background, I have muted everybody. So if you need to ask a question or give a comment, you could please raise your hand or send type a message. Then I will see and allow you. Is that all right? If you can hear me, just type yes or something.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay, right. So as you can see, the topic for today's seminar is quite very simple. It's about conducting your undergraduate research. And that is what I was requested to talk about. Kabote, is that correct?
Yes, please. All correct.
All right. So I'll just try to give you my little knowledge on how to conduct research and try to point you in the direction of how to conduct your undergraduate research. First, how to conceive it and how to conduct the research, and then how to write the research report. I hope that this seminar is able to help you in the way that you thought it would. Okay, so I have a few objectives here. And the first objective is that by the end of this seminar, we should have a fair idea of how to conceive the research idea. So the research that you want to do, how to conceptualize or how to conceive the idea, how to come by or obtain the idea that you want to research into. And then also we want to have an idea of things to consider in choosing a research topic. So I've had quite some interactions with some students, and when they tell me their ideas of the research that they want to do, they always find themselves, or they always find me telling them that they are going to have to narrow things, or they are going to have to cut things down. So today I hope to open your eyes a little bit on some of the things you need to consider when choosing your research topic. And also, we'll try to discuss how to draft and refine the research topic, and also have a fair idea of, all right, so I think that the other two are not important, because I was thinking we could link it to how to answer some essay questions, because it's not too different from writing, for example, the introduction to research. But I think we will not have time for those ones. So please focus on objectives numbers 1, 2, and 3. And then I'll also take you through some of the steps or some of the sections in the research report and what you need to put there, or what we expect you to write there. Let me just check. It looks like some comments are coming. Okay, right. So it's just about feedback. Okay. Oh, all right. So let's talk about conceiving the research idea. Let's talk about conceiving the research idea. So you see, research basically means searching something that has already been searched. That's why we call it research. So the thing is there, and you want to search deeper, right? So all research is supposed to be done to fill a gap or to provide knowledge on a situation that we know exists, but this research wants to show us more about that situation. That's why we call it research, because it's already been searched and you are researching again. Okay, so in order to start doing a research, first you need to think about your interest. And at this early stage, let me just caution you that if you are not the one who conceived of your research, it becomes difficult for you to do that research. Okay, so if somebody is going to help you to craft your research topic, the only thing you can allow that person to do is to help you to do it, not to do it for you. Because once somebody gives you a research topic, it becomes difficult for you to actually understand the research topic and research it in the way that it needs to be researched. So first, the research topic should fall, or your research idea should fall within an area that you are interested in, or it should fall within about something that you are interested in, something that catches your attention, or something that you are really curious about. That's the first thing that should come to your mind when you think of conceiving a research idea. The second one is to think of your future career trajectory. I know that a lot of you first class students, I know that a lot of the people who have joined here are first class students. You know, that's why you have actually taken time out of your schedule to be part of this seminar. Some students don't have the time to attend seminars like this. So the fact that you are here means that you are a serious student who is thinking about something serious in your life. But think about where you want to go after university. Because you see, the research that you are going to do at undergraduate level can be the basis for the future research that you do at master's, and if you want to go and do a PhD at PhD level. Also, the research that you do can go on your CV as an area where you have experience because you've done research in that area. Okay, so if you're going to apply for a job in that area, it becomes an added advantage for you because you've already researched that area. So never conduct any research without first thinking of the future implications for your life and your work or your career. Okay, so those of you who do masters in psychology, there are different subsections of psychology that I know you know by now. Okay, so there are different areas, specialist areas within psychology. If you're going to do undergraduate research, it's important that you think about which area of psychology you would like to specialize in and brainstorm if it's possible for you to conduct research in that area. Some people have come to see me that they want to specialize in industrial and organizational psychology, where I also specialize. It will be important for you to find a research topic within that area, okay? And if you want to go into clinical psychology, it would also be important for you to try to find a topic in that area. So basically, it weaves into the interest that I was talking about. If you are interested in going into clinical psychology or into counseling psychology, you need to find something, a problem or an issue in that area that you can research. This is undergraduate research. I want to calm your nerves. I want you to understand that this is basic undergraduate research. You don't have to stress yourself too much. So find something very simple to research into and save yourself the stress, because COVID-19 is already putting a lot of stress and confusion in our lives. So the third point that I want you to consider when choosing your topic is to consider the time limits that you have to do this research, which is very important. Okay. In my experience, I've come across a lot of students who have started their undergraduate research, and when it is getting to time for submission, they have depression because they are nowhere near the end. Some people choose, yes, please. You know, so some people choose topics that are so huge, that are so broad, that by the time they end the first semester, they still haven't been able to even refine the topic, let alone go and collect data. You know, So I want you to save yourself that trouble or that problem. Okay, consider the time limit you have and make sure that you are doing something which you can finish within the time that you are. Basically, you have 2 semesters. And these 2 semesters too, you'll be doing coursework. You are attending lectures. Maybe if you're lucky, you will be only attending online lectures this time. We are still waiting for confirmation on that. So we don't know whether, as at now, the information that we have been given is that we will not be doing any face-to-face lectures. So that means that you will not be having to shuttle between lecture halls and all that. So you'll be doing it online. If you have a computer, you can do it in your room. If you think your internet is not too strong, you can come to campus and use the UGCS computers to access your lecture content. Okay, so there's a little bit flexibility in there. But it still means that you will have to be dividing your time between your research and your coursework. You'll be writing exams, you'll be writing IAs, and you'll be doing research at the same time. So you don't have much time on your hands. If you go and choose something that's so huge, you will have yourself to blame. Okay, I've had to talk to a lot of students who are crying, who actually, some are actually having MDD, major depressive disorder, because they are nowhere near the finish line in their research work. And believe me, the long essay can stress you if you don't prepare well for it. Believe me, it can actually stress you beyond what you think. And so you need to prepare well. You need to choose something that is quite simple enough for you to be able to do within the time that you've been given. I hope I've stressed this enough. Also, the next point stresses the same point that I was trying to make. Be realistic. Simplicity is key. Don't go and pick yourself a PhD topic because you're not a PhD yet. Don't go and pick yourself a master's topic, a topic that even a master's student will struggle to do. I know some of you, your interest areas are so wide and varied. Some people want to understand psychological disorders. Somebody told me that. She wants to understand academic work, the relationship between academic work and psychological disorders. And I'm like, wow, psychological disorders. There are like 10,000 psychological disorders. Okay, which ones? Even a PhD student will not be able to study psychological disorders just like that. And academic work, exactly what do you mean by academic work? Do you understand? Some people want to understand the relationship between stress and academic, what do they call it? Academic achievement or academic performance. They want to find out the relationship between level of course of study and academic performance, which is a brilliant idea. But exactly what do you mean by academic performance? And how do you intend to collect data on academic performance? Is it people's IA scores that you have, IA grades that you are going to collect? Or is it their exam grades? What exactly are you going to measure as academic performance? And if you want to measure academic performance by grades, how are you going to get your hands on people's grades? Because grades are confidential. So you need to think about all these things. If you don't think about them and you get to the middle of the work after you've written your introduction, your literature review, and your theoretical framework, you are now going to think about how you're going to collect the data. You find out that it's almost impossible to collect data because you cannot just send somebody a text message and tell them what grade did you get in psychology. Only those who got A's will tell you what they got, because we those who get from D's downwards, we are so not telling. Okay, so you need to be very careful in the topic that you choose, and also be sure that the topic you are choosing is a topic that you can actually research within the given, that you can get your hands on and research within the given time. So the most important things to consider are these. Number one, your sample and sample access. When I say your sample, I mean the people that you are going to collect the data from. So if you say you want to collect data on academic performance, whose academic performance? Is it University of Ghana students? How are you going to get access to University of Ghana students? Are they people that you can easily go to? Are they people who will easily respond to you or take your questionnaire and fill them? I'll tell you a personal experience that I had. When I was doing my master's research, I nearly gave up because almost every I was doing industrial and organizational psychology. And so in my true no self, I said I was going to collect data from Airtel, from Vodafone. I'm going to go to Bank of Ghana. I'm going to go. Okay, fine. My supervisor laughed at me and said, okay, I'm waiting for the data. I can tell you that every single organization I went to, I was sacked. And the most painful thing is that I wasn't sacked by anybody who matters. I was sacked by the receptionist. Yes, that's what I'm talking about. You see, it's not so painful if you are sacked by the HR manager or managing director or the chief executive officer. But if the receptionist sacks you, she doesn't even want to listen to what you are there to say. The moment she sees that you are a student with questionnaires, she tells you, please, they are not around, go away. Okay? So every single one of those organizations sacked me. And here is me. I have written almost everything that I need to write. I just need people to fill the questionnaire so I can finish my research. Nobody was filling it. Do you understand? Nobody was filling it. And then when I went to one organization where the HR officer met me and decided that, okay, I can let my people fill the questionnaire for you. You know what he told me? He took the questionnaire, he looked at the items on the questionnaire, the statements on the questionnaire, and he told me that, well, before I let my people answer these questionnaires for you, take out this question, take out this question, take out this question. The questionnaire is a standardized document. If you remove even one statement from it, you are compromising the validity and the reliability of your instrument. And this person says that if you're going, these are the questions you're going to ask my employees, I will not let them answer the questions because organizations often have something to hide. Do you understand? Also, if you are going to collect your data, if your sample or the people that you want to study are, let's say, gay people, or you want to study people's sexual behavior in relationships, who is going to tell you their favorite style? Tell me. Or which questionnaire are you going to use to collect data on that? So it's very important that you consider all these factors before you decide, you choose which research topic to do. So the first thing to consider is your sample and your access to the sample. Who are you going to distribute your questionnaires to? Or who are you going to interview if you're using a qualitative method? Who are you going to interview? Are those people easy to interview? Are those people easy to get? One of my master students abroad currently is conducting a study or his master's research on female organizational leaders in Ghana. So like chief executive officers, HR managers, branch managers who are women. These are the people he wants to study. And for the past 1 year, we have been able to conduct only one interview because these people are so busy, or they actually don't see why they should waste their time talking to you. Do you understand? And we are still pushing to try to get, so I told him to use a qualitative method so that if he gets even 20, it's okay. Because if he does use quantitative method where he needs about 100 and so, he's so not getting that master's degree. Because these people don't have your time. When you go to their office, they are in a meeting. When they tell you to come, even the ones that are nice, who will tell you, okay, today I'm free at 12, so please come to my office at 12. You get there at 11:45, and they tell you that they just left for a meeting and they're coming tomorrow morning. Do you understand? It can be so frustrating. So you need to consider the people you want to study and how you are going to get access to those people before you decide to study that subject among those people. Okay, so, all right, so Kabute, I just have, you are going to have to take the host back to yourself because I've just been alerted that we have 10 minutes for this 40-minute one to end. I hope that after this one, so when it ends, you're going to relaunch it so that people rejoin. Is that it?
Okay, all right, I'll do that.
Okay, right. So is it me who has to transfer the host to you, or you can take it back yourself?
Let me check.
All right. So let's go ahead whilst he checks. We've got 9 minutes to go ahead. Okay. So the next thing that you have to consider, the next most important thing that you have to consider is the variables or the key concepts that you want to study. What variables do you want to study? Or what is the issue that you want to study? Somebody said they wanted to study stigmatization and psychological well-being among gay people in Ghana. Fair enough, right? You can have a lot to write about stigmatization and how gay people are perceived and or homosexuals are perceived in Ghana. So in this case, your main variables becomes stigmatization and psychological well-being, right? So you need to try and understand or find out if there's a way that you can collect data on stigmatization. Is there a standardized formal instrument, a questionnaire for carry or for collecting data on stigmatization? Is there a standardized instrument or questionnaire for collecting data on psychological well-being? And are you going to get access to homosexuals in Ghana? If the answers to these three questions are yes, you are good to go. If the answer to any of these three questions is no, it means that you need to rethink the research, right? So think about the variables in the study. You want stigmatization and psychological well-being. These are your variables. Can you describe and define stigmatization? Can you get data to back the extent of stigmatization or the nature of stigmatization that we now know in Ghana? Can you also define and describe psychological well-being? Do you have data to back in the existing literature, or can you search for information on psychological well-being, types of psychological well-being, how it is defined, and the state of psychological well-being in Ghana, right? And also homosexuals. Can you define and describe what homosexuality is? Can you get any information about homosexuality in Ghana? If the answers to these three questions is yes, you are good to go. You can do the research. So the most important thing are your sample and how you are going to access the sample, and then the variables that you're going to study and how you're going to collect data on those variables. The next one is the instrument for measuring the variable, which is what I just said. So you now have the variable, assuming that somebody wants to study, for example, when I was in undergraduate, I studied visual memory performance, gender differences in visual memory performance. That's what I did for my undergraduate work. I'm sure I've told some of you before. Okay, so the idea was that the main variables was visual memory performance and gender. Okay, so how was I going to measure visual memory performance? There was no questionnaire for measuring visual memory performance. So I decided to do an experimental study, okay, where I show pictures to boys and girls and record how the speed with which they can recall the images that I showed to them, and the types of images that the boys were able to remember and the types of images the girls were able to remember. That was my research, right? So all that I did, so when I asked myself these three questions, the answers were yes, because I wanted to do it among junior high school students. Can I get access to junior high school students? I could confidently say yes, because in my village, I am a village champion. Everybody respects me in that village. So if I went to the village junior high school and said that I'm a legal student, University of Ghana student, coming to conduct a research, even the headmaster will give me malt to drink before I. So the answer was a big fat yes, I can get access to them. Then the next question was the variables. You said visual memory performance. Can you describe and define and discuss visual memory? Yes, I can do that because I did cognitive psychology and there's a lot of information on it on the internet. I can get it. Okay. Okay. So how are you going to measure it? I read things on the internet and I have seen professors who were doing research by showing pictures to people. Okay. Especially when I did neuroscience at level 400. So they show pictures to people to test their memory. So yes, the answer was yes. I can also show pictures to these boys and girls and then record their memory of these. Okay? And then can you describe, define, and discuss gender? Yes. There's a lot of information on gender on the internet. So the answers to those three things was yes. So I was clear to go. Okay? And I had myself a nice time when I was doing this research. All right.
Hello.
So, yes, please.
Yes, I think you would have to make me the host again.
All right.
Or even if we can join with the same link and you would still be the host. you'll still be the host.
All right, sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so when it goes off, I will relaunch the link.
Yes.
Okay.
We'll just click the same link and we'll come back to.
Yes. So please, everybody, be informed. We are about to shut down because our 40 minutes is almost up. And when we go off, please don't go away. I will click the link and relaunch, and then you can join again. We have 3 minutes to be shut down. All right, let's go ahead. So think about if you say you're going to measure psychological well-being, what instrument are you going to use? If anybody wants to use psychological well-being, I have the psychological well-being questionnaire, so I can give to you. That's fine, right? But think about other variables and how you're going to measure those variables. One of my my school who just completed did something on body image perception, looking at how people look at their bodies and how that makes them feel. So I also have the body image perception questionnaire that we can use if anybody is interested in body image, right? So look for questionnaires before you decide to search this variable. Also, think about the best way you are going to collect this. There are some research. Jay, okay. So there are some researches that you do for which the best method to use will be a qualitative method. And there are some researches that you do for which the best method to use will be a quantitative method. So for instance, I am doing two researches right now. One of the research that I have already done and submitted for publication was looking at the lived experiences of newly recruited nurses in hospitals. I wanted to find out how the work is for them as new nurses when they are posted to a hospital. What are some of the experiences? Because I was talking about experiences, it was not proper for me to use a quantitative method. So I used a qualitative method where I can actually sit face to face with a nurse. Excuse me. Sorry, I'm back. Okay, so the think about the best way. So the research that I'm doing that I was talking to you about, I wanted to sit in front of somebody and talk to them about how their experiences have been since they became nurses. Is it what they were expecting before they joined? Since they joined, what has been the implication on their mental health? In this case, I have to use a qualitative method. So my methodology is qualitative, and my data collection process is by use, or my data collection approach is through. Let's continue. So, like I was saying, the most appropriate methodology for me to use was a qualitative method because I was exploring experiences. And if you want people's experiences, then you need to allow them to talk to you. You don't have to give them options to choose from. Because what questionnaires do, what quantitative methods do, is that they give you a questionnaire on where there are statements where you take strongly agree or strongly disagree. Okay? What that means is that if there's any experience that the participant has had that is not on the questionnaire, the participant doesn't have the opportunity to tell you about that experience. And so if you want to listen to people's experiences and how it impacts them personally, then you're going to have to allow them to talk to you through an interview. So you have to use qualitative method. So for example, one of my just completed level 400s did a research on said, does the questionnaire need to be adjusted to fit your research? if it looks like you're going to do the same thing. No, unfortunately, your name is not here. Somebody has sent me a question whether the questionnaire needs to be adjusted. You see, if the questionnaire is a standardized instrument, you can't adjust it. Because if you do anything to it, you compromise its validity and reliability. Then you are going to have to do factor analysis and do a reliability testing again. Okay? Somebody says you can't hear anything. Harmony. Can you hear me now, Harmony? Try testing mic 1 2. Can people hear me? If you can hear me, please type.
Yes, we can
Yes.
hear you.
All right.
Yes,
Harmony. I'm
we can hear you.
Yeah. I'm sure it might be coming from your place. So kindly check your network. Okay. So you don't have to adjust a standardized questionnaire. So for example, if you pick the DAS, depression, anxiety, and stress scale, it is an instrument that has been developed and standardized and tested over the years. You can't take any instrument out of it or any statement of it, and you can't add any instrument. Because once you change it, you have breached copyright laws because the instrument belongs to somebody, and you have also compromised the validity and integrity of the instrument. So you can't change it. So if you are going to explore something for which there is no questionnaire, you're going to have to develop your own questionnaire to go out. And it takes a very long process to develop a questionnaire. You cannot just write down questions and say, I've developed a questionnaire. No, you have to take it through a whole lot of statistical testing in order for it to be accepted. So I would advise that you stick to researching topics for which there are already questionnaires that are standardized and validated. Okay, just to save yourself the time and the stress. I have to. Okay, yes. Questions are coming. All right, that's okay. So there's no more question. All right. So you need to decide what will be the best way to collect data from the participants that you are studying. Okay? If it's quantitative, you need to look for the quantitative instruments that you need. If you want to do an experiment, you need to read about how to set up an experimental lab in order to block any confounding variables or intruding variables. Otherwise, then you cannot claim that the findings you got are valid. Okay, if you have confounding variables in there. So you need to read carefully about how to protect. You need to go carefully, read about how to protect your research or your experiment from any external intrusions. Okay, all right. And then if you want to go quantitatively, also look for the instruments for each of the variables that you want to study. Okay, all right. So one of my students, like I said, they just completed students. He researched the determinants of compliance to road safety regulations among commercial transport workers, because he said, I mean, he wanted me as his supervisor, and he wanted to do something in IO psychology. And so I told him, okay, I do non-traditional IO psychology. So I go to workplaces where people often don't consider it as workplace. So for example, the throttle driver is not often seen as a worker, but the throttle driver is a worker. The mate is a worker. Okay. So together we call them commercial transport operators or commercial transport workers. So this, my student, we agreed that he should go and study the factors that determine the compliance to road safety regulations, because there's a lot of laws that have been made by the DVLA, and still there are a lot of accidents that are happening on our roads. We know that our roads are not good, but a lot of the research out there also shows that it is driver recklessness that actually lead to these accidents. So what can we do to make them comply? What would make the drivers comply to the road safety regulations from the driver's viewpoint? So in this research, what the method that we agreed on was that he was use a qualitative method. Go to the driver and ask the driver. We have seen that a lot of you do not comply to road safety regulations. You drive on the shoulders of the road, you pick passengers in the middle of the road and all that. Why do you not comply? Is it that you don't know the regulations that are there, or you know them, but something is stopping you from complying to them? We want to find out. You can't use a questionnaire to collect this data. You just have to go to the driver and ask the driver and record. and then come and analyze what all the drivers are saying and the mates are saying. So he did a fantastic work, and he collected data from, I think, 50 drivers and mates, which is enough for qualitative work. So one of the differences between qualitative and quantitative work is that for qualitative work, you can use minimal numbers of participants. I've seen qualitative work that was done for 11 participants, for 15 participants, 20 participants, 50, 70, depending on the topic that you are researching and the sample that you're using. But you cannot do quantitative work with 50 people. It is not valid. It cannot be generalized, and it cannot be objective. So you need a minimum of 100 people to participate. That's the minimum. Even 100, some supervisors, I don't know which supervisors you will be assigned to, but some supervisors will not allow if it's just 100. Okay? So you will need more people because you are just sharing questionnaires to them and they answer. And one of the things about that I personally find problematic about quantitative surveys, especially where you are sharing questionnaires to people to fill, is that you can actually trust the answers that they are giving you on the questionnaire. So one of my experiences when I was doing my master's was that I went to an organization. Fortunately, they allowed me to share my questionnaire. So I shared the questionnaires to them, and I gave them 2 weeks, that after 2 weeks, I will come and collect the questionnaire. After 2 weeks when I went, some people could not find the questionnaire where they put it. So when they searched their files and they found the questionnaire, in my presence, they didn't even ask me to go outside. In my presence, they put it in front of them, picked a pen, and take, and gave it to me. So they did not read the statements on the questionnaire. They just ticked. So actually, you can't tell whether what they are telling you is actually what pertains in their work, or they just tick for you because you are worrying them. So I like qualitative research because I am able to sit in front of the person, to talk to the person, and pick my own answers from that person, what the person is talking about. Okay, but it depends on the supervisor that you'll be given. Different supervisors will give you different guidelines, and also you'll have to work with your supervisor to determine which method will be appropriate for your topic. Also, you need to think about literature and theory. This is all when you are deciding which topic to research. You see, because there are some topics that you just won't get a literature to review. There's no literature on it. So how do you review it? Do you understand? And then also, there are some topics that you struggle to get any theory to use to explore that topic. So you need to think, you need to question yourself, can you get literature on this thing that you say you want to do? If it's about gender, of course you get literature, right? If it's about human rights, of course you get literature. But you also think about whether those topics fall within the specialist area that you want to continue when you finish your undergraduate. Okay? All right, so Samira too is asking, by standardized questionnaire, please, do you mean there are already created questionnaires for certain researchers? Yes, please. Samira too, that's exactly what I mean. So there are, for example, if you want to research on psychological well-being, there is a standardized already made questionnaire for measuring psychological well-being. If you want to study organizational commitment, there is an already made standardized, tried and tested questionnaire for measuring or for collecting data on organizational commitment. You understand? And if you want a questionnaire for depression and stress and anxiety, there is one that you can access and use. Okay? But if you want to study something that for which there is no already made questionnaire, it means that you, the researcher, you are going to have to develop your own questionnaire. And at undergraduate level, I tell you, developing a questionnaire in itself is a research. So with the time that you have and all the other things that you'll be doing within this time, aside from your research, it will be very difficult for you to create and validate a questionnaire to you. So it will be, it doesn't mean you can't do it. Please get me right. It doesn't mean you can't do it. I mean, depending on the supervisor that you get, some supervisors can actually guide you to develop the questionnaire, pilot it, and to validate it. You use factor analysis, you use whatever thrombosis and all those kind of statistical nonsense. You do all of them before the questionnaire will be accepted as a research questionnaire. And after you have done that, other people can then use that in your questionnaire to measure that same issue if they want to study it. All right. So that's about it. Let's go on and try to finish as quickly as we can. So you need to think about whether you can get literature on the topic or on the issue that you have decided. Okay? Right. Now let's look at before you begin your research. Before you begin, one, get a good sample research proposal from the department. Okay, a research proposal that somebody has already done, or some of the past students, the research proposal that is submitted. If you can get your hands on one of them, but remember that I put good in red, in quotes, right? Because I have seen a lot of things happening in this university before. When I was a student, a lot of my mates went to the university library and picked up project work that people have submitted and started writing their project work in the same way that project work, that the other project was written. What you don't know is the grade that the project work that you are copying, right? Some people got D in their project work. Some people got E's for their proposal. If you get your hands on a proposal that got grade E, and you follow that proposal, you are also following to get grade E. It's as simple as that. You understand? So please don't follow blindly. You need to make sure that the proposal that you've got your hands on is one that your supervisor has looked through and actually giving you the green light to look to follow. Okay? And by following, please get me right. By following, you are not copying that proposal. Because I've seen people do that before. Once the supervisor gives the okay, this is a good proposal, you can look at it and use it to write your own. People go and copy it ditto. Okay, I've seen somebody whose topic is completely different from the contents of his proposal. Because he copied the proposal, he cuts and pastes somebody's proposal under his topic, right, and put his name there. Students can do wonders. Okay, I know that once you are spending your time to join this seminar, you are serious enough that you want to do your own research. That is why you are spending your time to join this seminar. So please do a work that will give you a grade you deserve. Okay, and mind you, the project work is 6 credit hours. So you better get a good grade. Because if you get a D in your project work, it is so bringing down your GPA. So don't take it for jokes, okay? And if you get a D for your project work, you are so not doing masters in that area. Because me, I won't admit you into this department if you got a D. It means that if we are admit you into a master's program, we are just going to suffer because you don't know anything, okay, about research. All right, so get a good sample research proposal from the department. Once you get your hands on that good sample, check the various sections that you are required to write in your proposal. Every good proposal will have all the sections that are required by the department. So when you scan through, you will see that the person wrote introduction, maybe a background to the research. Hello, Cabra. Yes. Okay, Mate. Yeah, no campus. All right. So sorry, guys. Okay. So once you get that good sample, check the various sections you are required to write in your proposal. Check the various sections. If you look through a good research proposal, you will find the place where it begins with maybe an I don't know if in the proposal you're supposed to write abstract, but I don't think you're supposed to write an abstract. So it starts with 1.0 background, introduction, background. Then after the background, you have problem statements. From problem statements, you go to objectives. From objectives, you go to maybe purpose, relevance, and then go on down to literature review. You talk about your theoretical framework, and then you go on to your methodology, your literature review proper. And then you go on to chapter 3, which is your methodology. You start your methodology from research setting, from participants and population, from sampling and sampling procedures, and all those kind of things. So if you look through a good proposal, you will see all the sections that you are required to write. And you also see how the person or what specifically the person has written under those sections. And use that to guide you. Please quote me right. Use that to guide you to write yours. Don't copy. Because plagiarism is a crime. Okay. So check the various sections you are required to write in your proposal, and then study carefully, step by step, sentence by sentence, how the person wrote the proposal. If you look at the introduction, you look at background, look at how the person has written the background. Okay? Each paragraph, each sentence, how did they write it? Especially referencing in text. The citations that the person has provided, how are the citations done? Okay? And then do yours in the same way. This is good to help you to cut down the time you spend on wandering in the bush while writing your proposal. Okay? It's a very good guide for you to do that. But get a good sample proposal. I repeat, good sample proposal. Somebody might be asking, but how do I know this proposal is a good one? Show it to your supervisor. Right? Show it to your supervisor. Or ask your supervisor if it's possible for him or her to give you one of the proposals that have been submitted that he or she thinks is good, so that you can actually use it as a sample and use it to guide your work. I'm sure a reasonable supervisor will find one for you. For those of you who may be assigned to me, you ain't got no problem. I got your back. Father Ernesto. Okay. Okay. So check the various sections you're required to write in your proposal. Study carefully, step by step. Please, step by step, carefully. Take maybe, if you can even get your hands on the proposal now, it will be good. Right? It will be good. Now, if you can get it now, even before school resumes. So you can have one full week. Every morning when you wake up, before you get out of bed, pick the proposal, look through it. Look through it. Okay, and check the sections and check the sentences. Spend 1 week studying the proposal so that when you get going on yours, you know exactly the sections that you need in your proposal to be done. The idea is to be done with this and done with it good. So people will actually understand. Or whatever you write, you will get a good grade for what you mean. Okay. Please, do you have one you could share with us? Well, I can't share, Adjoa Franca, I can't share my student's proposal to a large group of students, especially without that student's consent, because that proposal is that student's intellectual property. So as a lecturer, it will breach confidentiality for me to share proposals or my past students' proposals with you without first asking permission from those past students. Okay? And it's actually not good to share it with a large number of students, because this is quite a large number. We have 42 students now. And if I give it to this group, it will just go viral. That's the new term to use. It will just go viral. And almost all level 400 students will get it, which is not good. All right. So I can only give samples to the small number of students who are assigned to me and who I know I can control, so it doesn't get out. Okay. But I'm sure that whichever supervisor you are assigned to should be able to give you a good proposal to follow. Okay. All right. Let's go ahead. So before you begin, again, think about your topic and compare them to the topic in the sample you are studying. So look at the person's topic. Look at how that topic has been captured and try to capture your topic like that. So the topic, as a rule of thumb, the topic should not be more than 15 words. 15 words. Okay, so please use that as a guide for your topic. It shouldn't be more than 15 words. Okay. Also, ask yourself whether you can get all the things that the person has showed in their proposal. You can see that the person got the questionnaire. The person has actually stated the name of the questionnaire they are going to use. And it means that once the person has stated the name of the questionnaire they are going to use, it means that they are confident that they will get that questionnaire. That's why they've stated it. Can you also get the questionnaire for the topic you have chosen? Okay, right. So study it that way and see whether you can get all the things that the person has used for the proposal. So I'm going to share with you a little example. Is that okay? No, it's not an example, but let's go on to when you begin. So the information I just shared with you is before you begin. Let's go to when you start your own research. the beginning, the first thing you need to do is to write down your topic. After you have looked through people's proposals, you have seen their topics, you have thought about all the things that I say you should consider. Write down the topic that you have settled on. That means once you write the topic down, you have started the research. So after writing the topic down, you need to identify the key variables or the key issues that I've already talked to you about. Okay, the key variables. So what are the key variables in this topic? Once you have underlined those key variables, you need to define, describe, and discuss those variables at the introduction section. So at the introduction section, you are dedicating that section to writing about the key variables. Define them, describe them. If there are any statistics in the, yes, please. If you have any statistics in the online that you have found to support the descriptions you are giving of the variables, use them. Do you understand? Okay. And then approach your introduction as if you were writing an essay assignment. Okay. So when you are writing your exams, some of my students or some of you, the students who are friends with me, you shared with me some exam questions that you were take-home exam questions that you were given. One was about obsessive compulsive disorder, or using the using the DSM-IV to diagnose psychological problems, something like that, you know. And for those students, I showed them just how to go about it, right? So how you go about an essay question is by first identifying the key variables or the key issues in that question and addressing them in the introduction of your answer, right? So approach your introduction as if you were writing an essay or an assignment. Okay, define, describe, and discuss the key issues. Okay, so assuming that I asked you a question, to use the or discuss, let's say a 20-year-old person is presenting with what. Discuss how you use the DSM-IV to diagnose this person's, or to determine this person's disorder, what's wrong with the person, right? You know that you cannot finish your introduction without defining or telling us about the DSM-IV. What is it? Is it a type of car, or is it a type of knife? What is it? You tell us about it, okay? And you tell us what it is used for, okay? And then if the name of a psychological problem has been mentioned in the question, you need to then go on to that psychological problem and tell us what it is. Okay, so in your introduction, you're going to have to define, describe, and discuss the key issue or the key variable you want to study. I will discuss with you a sample topic, and then I will show you how to pick out the key issues in the topic. Okay, so this is the example that I'm going to discuss with you. So assuming that this is your research topic, let me check. It looks like somebody's asking a question. Please, do you have one you can share with us? Please, I can't see them on the screen. Please, Adjoa Franca, what can't you see on the screen? You can't see my slides? Franca, if you hear me, let me understand exactly what you can't see. Okay, so let's look at the topic: examining stress experiences of fresh university students in Ghana. This is a research topic, a potential research topic. If anybody wants to pick it, you have to come and pay me for it, because I'm using because I'm using it as an example. If you sit in your room and you decide to pick this research topic, probably 30 more people have also picked it. You are going to be cited for plagiarism. Okay, but this is a topic that somebody can actually do. Please, I can't see them on the screen. Yes, please, the slides is still showing before you begin. All right, really?
Oh, wow.
Please,
well, I can see the slides from here.
You can see. Can everybody see
Yeah.
the slides? Only Franca is seeing before you begin.
Tell her to log out and log in again. That might help.
Yes, please, Franca. I've been advised to tell you to log in, log out, and log in again, and then you can join from where we are. Okay. So this is a fine research topic because we know the chaos that engulfs university admissions. The stress starts right from the SHS BECE placement, where parents have to go and queue, and some students cry for weeks because they were not given the school that they wanted. So the crying starts right from after completing BECE. And then when you go to the SHS, some people go and do all sorts of things, and they come out with some grades that probably are disappointing to them. Okay, and then the stress continues in full swing when you apply for university. You are home and you are wondering whether you are going to get admitted or not. When you hear that your friend has gotten tech and your admission letter hasn't come, your intestines are on fire because all your friends seem to have gotten the admission letters and yours alone hasn't come. I know all of you have had these experiences, okay? But did anybody bother when you came to school to ask you how stressed you are and what kind of stress you are facing? Nobody. So actually, there's a lot of data, there's a lot of research that is done on stress among university students. We know that university students are stressed, blah, 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 blah. But we don't know the differences in the levels of stress among the different levels at university. And if you look at the different levels, basically it is level 100 and level 400 that seems to have high stress, right? And we will go into this. So the topic is examining stress experiences of fresh university students in Ghana. Now let's look at what to define in this. I need somebody to try and guess, look at the topic and tell me what do you think are the key variables that need to be defined and discussed or described in this topic. Anyone? Anyone?
Yeah, sir.
Yes, please. Go ahead.
I think experiences.
Okay, somebody says experiences. Anyone? Anyone else?
Hello, Doug.
Yes, please.
I think you would have to pinpoint on stress as well.
Stress. So somebody is saying stress, somebody is saying experience. Another person?
Also, who qualifies as a fresh university student?
Thank you very much, Rachel. Thank you very much. All right, so all of you are right. So the first key thing that you have to stress is that you have to define, or the first key variable in this topic is stress experience. Exactly what do you mean when you say stress experiences? Do you understand? And that is the key issue that you're trying to study in your work, stress experiences. So you need to define stress experience. Exactly what do you mean when you say stress experience? You can start by defining stress, okay, and telling us a whole lot about stress. What are some of the effects of stress? What are some of the types of stress? I mean, what are some of the implications? All those kind of things. You have to talk about them as stress experience, okay? Right. And then, okay, Emanuela was saying stress experiences and well-being. So we haven't talked about well-being yet in topic 1. So hold on, please. Okay. So that's what you need to focus on. Stress experiences. That's the first key topic that you need to define in your introduction. And also the next one is fresh university students. Exactly what do you mean by fresh university? Is it fresh PhD students because they're also university students? Is it fresh master students because they are also university students? Is it fresh undergraduate students because they are also university students? And when you say fresh university students, are you saying fresh because they look fresh? Is it because they look beautiful? Or what? Exactly what do you mean by fresh university students? So these are the two key issues in the research that you will be doing, right? So your introduction should be spent on these two, okay? And probably you are also going to have to probably at the end, getting to the end of the introduction, you are going to have to talk about stress experience among students in Ghana. What is the situation, the general situation in Ghana? Do you understand? Okay, so what are some of the unique things about Ghana that makes our students stressed? Okay, so basically, the trend in Ghana is that almost everybody wants to come to the government universities because they are subsidized. And so the government universities end up getting more students than they can take. Do you understand? And also, the situation in Ghana is that not every student get accommodation. So one of my past students also studied just the level 400 students who just left. One of them studied residential status and psychological well-being among university students. Because last year we found that residential issues became huge on this campus, with some students having to sleep at Pentagon, trying to pay before their rooms are taken from them. Some of the students, especially fresh students, were actually trying to register while their parents were in queues for them at Pentagon or a hostel trying to book accommodation. So the stress was all over the place. And there was a lot of newspaper articles and news reports about what the students are going through, and that can harm a student's mental health. By the time the students finally settles into the semester, they may be so stressed they can't even concentrate on the lecture. And that will also go on and affect their final grade that they get at the end of the semester. So you find a lot of level 100 students at first semester getting poor grades, and people are saying, but these students did very well in senior high school. If you look at their grades from senior high school, they got 7 A's, 6 A's, and then they went to Wege or Gasco or whatever. And then when they came to level 100, they are getting D's, and some of the students themselves also feel very bad about themselves. And those of you who are experienced D getters, you know what I'm talking about, right? So the stress, you are used to the stress of having a D, and how it makes you feel. So it was a good research that we did, where the students actually looked at the residential status and psychological well-being among. So what we did find actually was that non-resident students were the highest stressed students among the student population that we had, that my students worked in. And we also did find an interesting thing, that because we did residential students and non-resident students, and then those who are residential students, we also categorize them into legally resident and illegally resident, because we know there are patches on this campus. We can't pretend we don't know, And we did find that between the patches and the bed owners were more stressed than the patches, which was quite interesting, So the legal bed owner experiences more stress when it comes to accommodation than the illegal bed owner, because the legal bed owner feels, some of them told us that they feel like the ideal thing would be to sleep on their bed alone, but because they have taken this person's money, sometimes when they come and they are tired, this person, especially if you have a stupid common boy as your pitcher, you are dead, because you see the pitcher has not one girlfriend, 2 girlfriends, he the pitcher. So anytime that you, the bed owner, you come to the room, one of his mistresses is with him, and you are going to have to go and sleep in the TV room. When you are done, or when you think that you are going to, now the visitor has left, so you are coming. By the time you come, candidate number 2 is in. You are going to have to go back and watch football in the TV room and do stupid arguments. You understand? So if you go to the TV room and people are busily arguing as if their lives depend on it, please, you are a psychologist, you should understand. Okay, some of them, it is not their intention. Okay, all right. So that's what we did. So somebody can also take up stress experience among fresh university students in the University of Ghana. And so you have to define what stress experiences are and who you are calling a fresh university student in Ghana. Let's look at topic number 2. This topic says investigating. Okay, we have 2 minutes to go. I think I need to hurry up with this thing. Okay, we have 2 minutes to go. And then we will launch it again for the last time. Okay, I'll try to finish within that time. So number 2, investigating work-life balance and job. sorry, job should not be there. Investigating work-life balance and psychological well-being among single mothers in Ghana. Among single mothers. This is also a topic that somebody can pick and do, but please, before you quickly write it down, okay? But before you decide to do this, ask yourself how many single mothers you can get access to. I told you, these are some of the factors to consider when choosing a research topic. Sample and sample access. How easy will it be for you to get access to single mothers? If the answer to that question is yes, the next question is, can you get a questionnaire to measure psychological well-being among these single mothers? The answer is yes, because I have a questionnaire. If you contact me, I can give it to you. And then the third question is, will you get a questionnaire to investigate work-life balance? The answer is yes, because one of my colleagues is an expert in work-life balance. So I'm sure if we speak to him, he can get us a questionnaire that we can use to answer. Okay, so you can, your basic argument is that you want to find out how single mothers are able to balance their life as mothers and their work. Okay, and how that affects their psychological well-being. It's as simple as that. This is doable within 2 semesters. But quickly, let's talk about the key issues to define here. Anyone, any volunteer? Anyone? Let's hurry up, please. We have less than 1 minute.
The psychological well-being is a
Thank
key
you.
issue.
Yes, and then?
We can say work-life balance as well.
Exactly. So the key issues are, okay, AJ, you are asking whether it's possible to take the same research topic with another person coincidentally, and if so, is it allowed? It is not allowed. It is not allowed. I repeat, it is not allowed. That's plagiarism. So you cannot do the same research that another person has done. It is called plagiarism. You can't do that. Okay,
Wow.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you, AJ. All right, so I don't know why you would want to take somebody's research, but it's not allowed. It's really not allowed. Okay, so let's go ahead, and people have already identified the things that we need to define for us. So no, this is a different one. Okay, excuse me.
Yes, though. We are the other side.
Sorry. Where was I? Yes, okay. This is what the one we're talking about. All right, so investigating work-life balance. So work-life balance here becomes one key issue that you need to define and discuss. And then psychological well-being is also another one. Okay, and also single mothers, you may have to qualify or describe or define exactly what you mean by single mothers, because we don't know whether single mothers are those, you mean those that are divorced, or those that have never been married, or those that are simply living with their children alone. Because some people are married, their husbands are abroad, and so they are the only ones taking care of their children here. It doesn't make them single. They are still married, just that they are the only ones living with their children. Or do you mean that children or mothers whose children don't have fathers? If there's anything like that. Mothers whose children don't have fathers. Okay, right. So you will have to also consider defining what that means. And then let's go to the topic number 3, work and psychological well-being among state security service workers in Ghana. Okay, the work here, the specialization is supposed to be there. Work specialization and psychological well-being among state security service workers in Ghana. So basically what we are trying to find out is that we know the state security workers, the police, the fire service, the army, or the military, and maybe national security or whatever. We want to find out, among these services, who is the most stressed, or whose psychological well-being is most affected by their work. Is it military people? Is it police people? Is it fire service or whatever? So you can decide which state security services to look for and measure psychological well-being amongst them. right? So they are all security services, but there are different specializations. Some are police officers, some are naval officers, some are army, some are air force, some are fire service, and some are CID and whatever. Okay, you want to find out, is it between the constable and the IGP, who is more psychologically affected by their work? You can do that. But again, ask yourself the 3 questions. How easy would it be for you to get access to the people that you want to interview, or the people to whom you want to administer the questionnaire? Okay, all right. And then the 4th question is, so here, the main thing that you have to define will be work specialization, psychological well-being, and exactly what you mean by security service workers. Is it private security? We have already stated state security services. So of course, that is clear enough. Okay. Then we have an investigation into organizational structure and work effectiveness among orphanage workers in Ghana. Right? An investigation into organizational structure and work effectiveness among orphanage workers in Ghana. This is something you can't do because I did it in my PhD already, so I'm first. Okay, so here, what I did was that I saw that the different orphanages are structured differently. If you go to SOS, they have nice homes that they have built on their compound where the caregiver lives with the children under her care inside the home permanently. If you go to places like Osu Children's Home, you'll see that the children sleep in big rooms that are like boarding house or dormitories, and the mothers don't live with them. The mothers go home and then they come to work in the morning and go at night, right? So I wanted to find out how this kind of different structuring affects the work of the care worker So here, the key words to define were organizational structure and work effectiveness. Organizational structure and work effectiveness. So this is how you identify the key topics in your work. Okay, now I want to give you a little bit note of caution. Be careful about your topic. Some variables are hard to measure, as I have already shown you, right? Some variables are hard to measure. Okay, so if you are measuring a variable like sexual behavior, they are very hard to measure. I don't know if there's a questionnaire. I think there are some questionnaires for measuring sexual behavior, but who is going to, if somebody gave you a questionnaire, that is asking, would you answer it? Even if the person ask you for your name or something, you feel comfortable answering that question, right? So some variables are very hard to measure. Academic performance, it's very hard to measure that because of confidentiality issues, okay, and privacy issues. So be careful about the topic you choose and the variables in there. Also, be careful about copying things from the internet because plagiarism is a crime. Be careful about copying things. Okay? Because plagiarism is a crime. Okay. Oh, try. I have written trying. Forgive me. I'm sorry. I did this in a hurry. So try thinking about how you are going to analyze your data when you get it. It is one thing collecting the data, and it's another thing analyzing the data. You need to think through this before you start the research. What analytic technique am I going to use to analyze this data? You need to be very, very careful about that and discuss with your supervisor what would be the appropriate analytic approach to use to analyze your data. Do not start until you are clear on which data analysis technique you want to use. Don't start your work. If you are not clear on which data analysis technique you're going to use, don't start your work. Because what I've seen happening to a lot of students is that when they have collected the data and they've written the proposal, they've gotten A in proposal, and then they are now doing the work, they've collected the data, gone out to fish out questionnaire and all that, and then they come back, they don't know how to analyze the data. You are going to have to go and pay somebody to analyze the data for you. And the people who take your money to analyze data for you too, sometimes they don't actually understand your research. So they just analyze the data using the analytic tool that they think fits best. And then when you present your work, you find out that your data analysis doesn't actually match your work. So if you submit it and your supervisor is frustrated and they don't know how to correct you, they say, okay, I've accepted it. And then they give you a C or a D. Congratulations. Okay? Think through this thing before you start. Okay. Now, the introduction. We are now going to go into the various sections of the work, and then we'll be done. Okay. Your introduction. Number one, start with a clear, nice sentence. Like my research topic of examining stress experience among fresh university students. You can begin with something like this. The experience of stress is a daily occurrence among university level students. Right from this sentence, you go to define your first keyword, which is stress. Stress is defined as blah, 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 blah. Provide a citation for that definition, right? And then go on to state some statistics about stress. After that, so for example, after stress is defined as blah, 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 and then maybe so and so into bracket 2019, okay? Then you go ahead. According to statistics from maybe the United Nations or the World Health Organization, stress, maybe 80% of university students often face stress, and this leads to, or this can affect academic performance. Then you go on to look at the different aspects or the different kinds of stress and the different implications or effects that stress can have on a person's health and well-being. Do you understand? So stress can affect, can cause biological problems. It can cause mental health problems. It can do this. All of these things that you are writing, you have to provide a citation for them. Okay. Then after you've talked about, so the next thing is that make sure continue to talk about stress for about half a page or 1 page. If you're using, so when you pick your first key issue or your first key variable, define, describe, provide statistics, provide evidence, provide examples, and fill 1 page on that variable. Then go to the next variable and do the same thing with another page. And then maybe the first paragraph of the 3rd page becomes the conclusion to your introduction. You're done. Okay? So make sure each variable or key issue is clearly defined. So like the example that I've given you here, you can see right from sentence number 2 that I'm defining my key statement. Okay? Right. And then the introduction can be between 2 to 4 pages. But hey, save yourself the stress. Write like 3-page introduction, that's fine. 2.5-page introduction, that's fine. For me, that's fine. Okay? I don't like to stress students. I don't know what other supervisors or what other lecturers do, but I won't push my basic level 100 students to go and write 5-page introduction. It's not a master thesis. Okay, so some 3 pages will be fine. I mean, it's fine with me. Okay, so make sure each variable or key issue is clearly defined, and the introduction can be between 2 to 4 pages. Use clear, simple language. I have to warn you. Okay, your lecturers don't have time to read garbage. Okay, there are so many students on us. We can't read your garbage. Please make sure you stick to clear, simple language. Avoid long, winding sentences. One of my students, I brought him here to my office. I opened his work that he sent me to him, and I asked him to highlight his first sentence. The first sentence was about 10 lines. 1 sentence, 10 lines. Are you Shakespeare or what? Okay, please use, you can see the sentence that I've used. Look at my example. The experience of stress is a daily occurrence among university level students. Full stop. This is a very simple, clear, let your sentences be simple and clear. It saves you a lot of editing work that your supervisor, because if you bring your work to me and your sentences are like five lines long and all those kind of things, you're going to have to get a lot of red ink in your work. And when you see your work bleeding like that, you yourself, you may have depression. You are going to do all this correction again. So please save yourself the stress and use clear, simple, short sentences to communicate what you want to communicate. Okay, right. So avoid using jargons. Avoid trying to show the lecturer that you table. Please, we know you table already. That's why you're in University of Ghana. Okay, so please don't come and give us any verbose language here or whatever. Okay, save yourself. I'm interested in you saving yourself because young people in this country are too stressed. Don't add to it. Okay, the adult's expectation of you alone is a load of stress on you. Okay, so don't add to it, please. I beg you. All right. let's go to, after your introduction, let's go to your problem statement. Statement of the problem. Your problem statement should not be more than 1 page. For those who will be working under me, your problem statement is probably going to be half a page. Just half a page. Tell me what the problem is. Okay? Your problem statement should not be more than 1 page. It is not another introduction you are writing. Okay. Show exactly what problem you are trying to help solve by doing this research. By doing this research, what problem are you trying to help us solve? So if you look at my research, okay, let me just, yes. So show a gap in the existing literature you are trying to fill. And when we say existing literature, and yeah, it's not something we are, it is just the research people have already done. That's what we call it, existing literature. Okay? So show what gap is there. What is it that all those who are researching on the topic that you are researching on, what is the one thing that they have not researched on that you want to now research on that to fill? That's what we call a gap. So for example, if you look at what I've written here for a short version of a problem statement, what I'm trying to say is that many researchers have studied stress and its impact on health and well-being of students. But studies that focus on differences in stress experiences among students at different levels of university education are rare. So this study is being conducted to fill this gap in the literature and provide scientific insight into this issue. It's as simple as that. But you can't write this for your thesis. I mean, just the simplified version. Okay, so all that the problem that I am trying to solve is that we know that there's a lot of research that has been conducted on stress and also stress among university students. But we don't know, we haven't seen, excuse me, sorry. No office, oh, I'm here to translate. Only the office. Okay. Guys, I think I have a very important schedule coming up right now. So I'm really, really in a fix. We have gotten to objectives. So I don't know. Kabute, what do we do? Yes, please.
Yes. Hello. Yes. So I think we can reschedule for another one.
Yes.
And probably continue.
Yes.
From there.
I would really, really thank you. And I'm so sorry that I'm having to cut the short. I'm very, very sorry, guys. Please forgive me.
I don't think there's any problem because I think it was 1 hour 30. It's supposed to be 1 hour 30 minutes. So
all right.
Yeah.
Sure, that's fine.
Yeah.
So please, let's fix it any day from today. Okay.
Okay. Okay. So
Please,
I'll call you.
So please call me and let us schedule it. Okay.
Okay. Okay. I will do that. Right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, thank you very much.
Thank you.